Greetings, Internet viewers. Welcome back for another Oxleymations presentation. So for today's video, this one could technically be classified as a Dummy Diaries episode, a Dummy Diaries entry, if you will, because, well, the whole reason why I'm filming today's video is because a very nice person on Facebook, they sent me a something or other that I'm going to be sharing with you all, if it wasn't evidenced by the title right down here. Pardon if I'm talking kind of funny. I'm a little bit stuffy today. Also just got done working a 12-hour shift, so yeah, I'm a little funky in the head right now. But the package arrived today, and because of that fact, we are going to do this video thingamajiggy, and I have an itch on the side of my hair. Head, not hair. You don't scratch your hair, you scratch your head. Anyway, like I said, I'm a little bit loopy and messed up from having worked 12 hours. So let's just get into this, shall we? As I was alluding to before, a nice woman off of Facebook decided to donate her ventriloquist puppet, her childhood toy, as she calls it, to the channel. Because apparently no one in the family wants the poor little guy. He's basically orphaned, not... she didn't word it that way, but that's basically how it read in what she was saying. And she didn't want him to just get thrown out or get donated to the Goodwill or anything silly like that. So she inquired if I was interested, and I said yes. So within this box is a little plastic and cloth friend from the 1970s. Then again, this could be one of the ones from the 80s, but I'm pretty sure from the outfit that was shown in the picture when she sent me an image of this little goober that he's from the 70s. So to get this box open, we're going to need our samurai sword letter opener. Hi-ya! Hoo-ha-ha! We put the sheath over there, and now we begin the cutting process as we delicately, with the skill of a surgeon, cut open the tape. Side one is done. Side two is ready as well. Now we just cut right down the center. Aha! Alright, the flaps have been unflapped. So now we take our samurai sword letter opener, we peel off that weird strip of tape, and we make sure the box is not going to fall onto the floor. We resheath the thing, like a good neighbor. And then we undo the folds. Actually, the way I should do this, I'm going to open this in a way where y'all are going to be the first ones to see the little goober. Just going to carefully pull away bits of the paper, just toss them onto the floor. Now usually I'm pretty lucky in that when I open up these packages, the puppet will be in the upright position. Let's see if that streak continues. It does not appear so, because I think I'm seeing a hand right here. Yep, there's a little plastic hand. So let's just, for the little goober's sake, go ahead and spin the box around. Uh-oh. Knocked over poor old Jack. Okay, so now this should be the big reveal. Just gotta balance this on my gut just right. There we go. There's more of the paper. Haven't quite revealed his face yet. Should be right behind this wad of paper right here in this corner. Unless the paper is holding him in. Which it kind of feels like it is. There's bubble wrap. Okay, folks, I'm going to have to bring it down just a bit. Pardon all the crinkling. Yeah, the person who packed this up actually bubble wraps the head. I am genuinely and pleasantly surprised. Alright. So, here's the little goofball in their 1970s garb. Because, I mean, that just screams 1970s. The yellow shirt with his name emblazoned on it, which, if you didn't guess by now, he's got his plaid pants. And now, I'm just going to bring the little goober right up in front of the camera. See if I can do this. Ta-da! Our new little friend, Willie Talk. And from what I saw in the images that I was shown, the poor little guy, he's going to need a new rubber band. And from what I can see on the computer screen over there, his mouth is agape. But he is so happy to be here. So without further ado, since y'all got to see him first, I'm going to turn him around so I can get my own look at him. And the box he was in just randomly slid down off of the paper it was sat upon. So let's turn him around. Aw, aren't you just a slice of something wonderful? Now let's see. It was kind of hard to tell because in the images I literally could not tell, but he does have his original pull string, which is excellent. And he has a little bit of an aroma. Thankfully, it's not like a reek. That was a weird sound. I'm hoping that's just the old rubber band, but I'm going to move him down by the microphone so you can hear this. Okay, that is clearly not... Oh, okay. This is a first. We now officially know what it looks like when these guys kind of cough up their stuffing. It's like... Oh, pardon me. This is the first time I've ever actually seen one of these guys cough up their stuffing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to quickly fix him up. I'm going to basically leave him as he is, although it smells like someone might have spritzed him down with a rather strong perfume at some point. So his outfit is definitely going to get a wash at a different time. Right now, we're... Sorry that I keep almost coughing, it's very strong. For the moment, we're just going to focus on repairing the mouth and dealing with his little problem with coughing up all that foam, which is up inside his head right there. Alright, so for this portion, obviously you're going to need the puppet that you're going to be fixing. You're also going to need, to help prevent the continued coughing up of that foam stuff, you're going to need to make a little cardboard disc that's going to go, it's going to sit right at the base of the neck right before you put the zip tie back in. What I'm going to be using for that is just a plain old tissue box. Nothing too fancy, nothing too difficult, just this. Also, obviously, we're going to need the replacement zip tie, or in my case, zip ties, because unfortunately I still have yet to make it to the store to buy a properly sized set of zip ties for this kind of a thing. Because I do have some that are long enough that would deal with the issue, but they're way too thick. Because what they used in these original Willie Talks from Horseman dolls back in the 70s were these really thin ones. Another thing we're obviously going to need, should be right up here, is something to snip the old zip tie. So to start things off with, almost forgot. You're also going to need the item you're going to use to replace the rubber band, which in this case is going to be this nice little spring. Also, here's a tip for you all. If you have any of those clicker pens that just like the inkwell is dried up, you can use those springs for this procedure. In fact, that's literally what this is. It's just an old pen spring. And this will be the third Willie talk that I've repaired with this exact same technique. So another thing you'll need is scissors to cut the cardboard. But we'll get to that step when we get to that step. For now, let's focus on the puppet himself. First thing we're going to want to do is unbutton the shirt so we can get access to the neck. Only have to undo the top one, but I'm getting both of them to make sure that we have a lot more access. There we go. Interesting. On the other two Willie Talk dolls that I have, Willie Talk puppets, the end of the zip tie, that little nub right there, is usually on the side of the neck. Never seen it on the back. Okay. So on that note, now we take our plastic nippers. I've been watching a lot of Toy Polloi lately. Our wire cutters, and we're going to go ahead and snip that. So let me just find a good spot and come on. There we go. Had to take a second clip just to make sure that it was actually through. Alright. Another thing I'm interested in, and we're about to find out, is what is making that rattling sound. This is going to be an interesting little look and find. Alright, so after you've snapped the zip tie, it should be fairly easy to get the head out. Just kind of wiggle it around a little bit. Like so. Okay. So here's Willie's head. Now fully detached. This is going to look kind of gruesome. Why is there... I've never seen one of these guys with like a plastic bag inside of them. This is really strange. But I'm not worried about that right now. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a plastic bag. And we're going to go ahead and just dump the stuffing and all the contents of Willie's head into the bag. Wow, that's a lot of stuffing that was in there. Still a bit stuck right at the back of his mouth. We can easily handle that with one of these zip ties. Either come out this way or go out the other way. See? Alright. And now I see what the thing that was causing all that rattling was. It would appear to be just some extra leftover plastic from when they were putting this little fella together. And about matches the skin tone, or at least what it would have been like 40 years ago. A whole lot of firsts in today's video. And it looks like the remnants of Willie's rubber band. Okay. Gonna save the stuffing because I'm gonna go ahead and try and put that back in when, after this is all done and said and done and over with. I can words sometimes, can't I, Willie? Sometimes. Alright, so we're just gonna set Willie off to the side here for just a moment so I can move this bag out of the way. Because I am genuinely curious. Part of me is like, don't do it. You don't know what that is. Could be anything in there. There's another part of me that's like, that is probably in there for a reason, so again, don't take it out. Damn it, I'm too curious. Pardon my language, folks. I have to know. It's probably just the bag that this stuffing came from wound up getting caught and shoved into the doll. That's about what it appears to be. Either that or this baggie was supposed to keep the stuffing from coming out. And it failed spectacularly. I'm trying very hard not to get all this 40-plus-year-old stuffing all over the room. So we're just going to gently try and put his body in an upright sitting position. That down there. I'm gonna have to theater of the mind that, folks, because yeah. It seems to be exactly what this piece of plastic was for. I mean, it's not a baggie like I thought it was. It's literally just a piece of plastic. We're just gonna go ahead and throw that away. Well, no. For the sake of authenticity. Yeah, for the sake of authenticity, we're gonna keep that, but we're gonna put it underneath the little cardboard disc we're about to make. But before we even get to that stage, we're going to make little Willie's mouth work again. Or so we're going to try. Because we've got to hook that spring to this big friggin' hook right here, and then from here to a little hook that you can see through the front of his mouth right up there in the back. So I'm going to need some needle nose pliers for this. Willie, we're going to put you over there. And we're going to grab the long needle nose pliers. And we're going to grab the normal needle nose pliers. Alright, going to put the long ones over to the side because we're not really going to need those until we go to put the spring in his head. Alright, so with these pen springs, as you're probably familiar, on the ends here they have this little coiled bit where it's an extra loop that's kind of doubled over on itself. So what we need to do to get this so it'll reach up in there and we can kind of corkscrew it, kind of twist it so it latches onto the little hook, is we need to pull it out, basically. So you want to try and find the very tippy tip end of that spring. You grab ever so gently with your pliers, and then carefully you want to just, let me try and get an angle on this so y'all can see what I'm doing. You just want to try and loosen up that coil there, like so. So that's all set for one end. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat that maneuver with the other end. And hopefully, like I said, y'all will be able to see this. So same exact process. Grab it by the little end piece, and then you just gently pull it. There we go. Just gently pull it until you get another little hook. Alright, so for this bit, we're going to take the long needle nose pliers and grab onto it like that. Now we take the little puppet head and we take the longer, or the wider of the two little hooks that we made, and we attempt to reach up inside the head. Hold on, let me push the string out of the way here. If you see that right, turned it, right there, that black spot, that is the hook in the jaw that we have to get this attached to. So you want to, okay, I got to open that up just a bit wider. I don't want to, because there's the possibility that in doing so it won't be able to latch on to the metal properly. But the only way I'm going to be able to get it around it is to make that little loop ever so much slightly wider. Alright, I have done so. So now back onto the pliers we go. And we just reach that up inside the head. Okay, I got it hooked. Alright, once you've got it hooked, to make sure it's going to stay on there, make sure you twist it a little bit. You know, that way, like I was saying before, like the threads on a screw, you want to make sure that that's going to go around and lock itself in place. Okay, so the spring should be in place at this point. Let me just see if I can get an angle where you can see that. String's in the way again. See it right there? Then you take the other end, and second verse, same as the first, only this time, since the spring is already attached, like I said, I'm a little messed up today, already attached, not already attached, we're just going to grab the little hook on the end and bring it up to this metal hook right here. But it's also at this point that you kind of have to figure out how to do this without getting the string caught up right in the middle. Because if not done properly, then over time, that spring in there will just kind of saw through the string, and then eventually, pink, you'll go to use it, and you'll break the string right out of his head. So it looks like it should be okay if I go on this side and bring it around. But like I was starting to get to before I said that, you'll you'll take the other kind of hooked end and you'll grab it with the pliers, or as close to as possible, and then you take that little hook, you drag it out, and you hook it on to the bigger hook like that. Now hopefully, there we go, perfecto. Now Willie's mouth is operational once more, and because we used a spring instead of a rubber band, it is going to take a lot more to wear out. It's going to take a lot longer to wear out. Like, it'll have to rust and break before that happens again. And this guy has so much mold flashing. Like, see all this extra plastic around his neck flange? That is honestly impressive. I went ahead and I just kind of scraped off and kind of broke off the rest of that mold flashing, you know, all the excess plastic that I was showing off a few minutes ago. And also, apparently, he still had a bunch of foam just up in his head. I just turned him upside down and then all over my paints. Beautiful. Oh, right now. Ah, darn it, I thought I had a lint roller in here. Apparently not. Alright. So moving on to the next step. For this bit, you're going to need the box that you're going to be using, or the cardboard, I should say. You can technically use plastic for this, but I strongly recommend not doing that, because over time that plastic can just kind of, not burrow, but kind of, oh, if it's raspy it'll cut through the fabric. We'll go with that one. So we're going to also need the puppet head, because basically what you're going to do is you're going to take a ballpoint pen and you're going to trace around the flange of the head so that the cardboard will be just big enough to cover that spot and not let any of the foam get through. Now, where did I put my pen? Once you have your pen all ready and raring to go, you'll take the puppet head and the donor cardboard. So you put the puppet on the cardboard, and like I said initially, we're just gonna closely trace it. Of course, my pen's not working. Hold on. There we go. So you want to keep the head as still as possible and just trace around that neck flange. It doesn't need to be perfect because this is going to be hidden inside the doll. But again, you want it to be just a little bit bigger than the flange itself, so that it hides, or not hides, so it prevents the foam from escaping out of the doll's mouth. As we already discovered when I first opened this poor fella. The box he was in, I should say. Alright, Willie, thank you for your contributions. Now we put the pen away, and we move on to the section that includes the scissors. And obviously, you just cut around to the outside of the circle, and I'll see you at the next step. Now that I have officially cut the cardboard out, it is time we add this to the body, as well as putting the stuffing back in and the weird piece of plastic. Anyway, scissors down, folks. So we take the little stuffed doll body, which is in fact going to need a decent cleaning. Not right this second, of course, because like I said, we're going to do that later. First things first, we're going to remove the old zip tie that's still in there, while also trying to make sure no more of that stuffing, that foam filling, gets out. Gotta be a little bit careful with this because, and of course, as I say that, the fabric can sometimes be fairly weak, and if there's a jagged edge on the end of that zip tie from where you had to cut it, then the zip tie can very much, in fact, do a fair amount of damage to that poor old material. Thankfully, that's not the case that I can tell. But it started to feel like it was doing that. That's why I was like, and of course, it happens. But there's the original zip tie. And now we get to putting that stuffing back in. All the stuff that fell out of his head. So I think I was alluding to this initially, that we got to do this carefully. And we just take the extra little bits of foam out of the bag. We just kind of stuff that down into the neck hole. I've got about the majority of it stuck in there, so the rest of that's just going to go in the trash. And now I'm going to put that piece of plastic back in there. Only this time, I'm going to try and spread it out across the neck hole, not just stuck straight up and down in there. Although I can just about guarantee that was the initial idea, but just not executed exceptionally well. And as I say that, it's starting to form basically into the exact shape it was when I first opened him. Okay, like that, with the original plastic in there. And now this, oh dear goodness, I am covered in foam. Son of a gun. Okay, so enough of that foolishness. Where did I put that cardboard disc? Turns out it was directly below the chair that I'm sitting on. Okay, so getting back to what I was saying initially, now that we've got the plastic back in place, we take a little piece of cardboard, and I'm going to wind up putting it cardboard, plain cardboard side up, and we just kind of stick that down inside the body, right on top of that plastic. We kind of line it up where the zip tie is going to be. Then we take the head and we stick that down in on top of the cardboard, which is going to make it even that much more stable on the doll. But actually, before we do that, we need the zip ties. So, here we go. Just gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. We will take the zip tie and we will find a place in the fabric in this little seam around right here. Okay, there we go. Oh. There we go, but there we don't at the same time. Alright, I'm going to take the cardboard circle back out just for the moment, and I'm going to put it somewhere where it's going to be obvious. And we're going to work on getting the first zip tie in place. Because I found a spot on the side of the neck where I could get under that fabric loop and start threading it through. And then for the second zip tie, we're going to do the same thing, but from the opposite side, if we can manage. And the main thing is you want to make sure that the ends of the zip ties are going to be facing in a way where when the other end of the zip tie comes out, you can hook it on there and do the zip tie thing. So for this, you'll want it to kind of look like this, where you've got one end of one zip tie sticking out one side and the opposite end of the other one, and vice versa. Okay, now that we're at this point, you want to take the ends of the zip ties and do the zip tie thing. Also, you still want to be careful because you don't want to damage the stitching, which it looks like I'm on the verge of doing because of this big goofy loop here. And remember folks, do not pull the zip ties all the way yet. Because this is the point where we still need to add that cardboard disc and the head. So before I go getting too far ahead of myself, here's the cardboard disc stuffed in right on top of that plastic, like so. Then we take little Willie's head. We want to stick that in and kind of squish it down in there a little bit And when it's down like this, you start pulling the zip ties so that they pull the fabric nice and firm around that little neck flange. Just tight enough that the head won't come off, but loose enough that the head still has mobility. So about like that is what we're going for. Maybe a little bit tighter, because it looks like if he were to get shaken side to side a little too hard, his head would pop off. All right, let's try it. There we go. And of course, me being the perfectionist that I am, I've got to continue fiddling with it. Alright, so at this stage, what you'll need, if it wasn't obvious, because we don't want little Willie walking around like a friggin' Frankenstein monster over here, your wire cutters to just trim off the ends of those zip ties. You want to get it as close to that square end as possible, like this. And we repeat that process on the other side. And now, after we get his shirt put back on the proper way and buttoned up all nice along the back, then our surgery, as it were, will be complete. Voila! One freshly repaired and ready to talk your ear off, Willie Talk. So, how's it going, Willie? Not too bad, not too bad. You know, just got shipped across the United States by USTS Postal Service. But, you know, could be worse, could be worse. Yeah, it could be worse. You could be in the trash. Don't I know it? But instead, I'm here with you. And I'm glad for it. Me too. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the repair and, well, not cleaning, because I'm going to do that off camera, but the repair of Willie Talk. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope this has been informative. If you like what you've seen here today, you know what to do. Yeah, you know, like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell icon and all that nonsense. Also, if you want to help the channel at all, you can subscribe over on his Patreon. Patreon.com/Oxleymations. That's patreon.com/Oxleymations. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, you did. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Later.